All right, guys, how you doing? So a lot of the stuff I'm going to talk to you about is from the book Measure What Matters. Has anyone seen or heard of that from John Doerr himself? Sweet. All right, so this is a talk. It's for free. It's based on my own experience and the book itself. Don't sue me. So the company is KeepSpace, as my buddy here just shared on. Effectively, what we're trying to do is we're trying to be the bridge to empower and be between countries so that we can draw people closer and let them know that we connect. And the thing is just being able to apply that in an industry that doesn't have a lot of that, which is the e-commerce warehouse space. So we've built a couple of applications where we send out goods all over the world, and our warehouse is out in Bayswater, and it's been growing quite substantially. As Brad shared, I've been doing this for a while. This particular business is my third. It was a pivot from my second business that I had called Koala Box. My wife and I kicked it off with a couple of buddies. We used to come be here all the time. It effectively was a concept where we would be like Dropbox for physical assets. The challenge was the vertical was really, really difficult because we had students, homeowners who were stage selling, and small businesses. And the life cycle of the students was 3 months, homeowners were 6, but businesses were ongoing. So we dropped the first two and just went with the system that focused on them. And that turned the catalog system, which it was back then, into an inventory management system. We then didn't pick up anyone until we met Blackroll in 2017, which was like a year later. And then through that, we started to snowball it along. After we picked up in 2018, a year later after that, our first 10 businesses, it started to give us a bit of a concept that there's a lot of discussion around how to do e-commerce really well. So that's when we started our first events back in 2018. We've done a couple here and there. We relocated our space a couple of times to be able to match the volume of goods coming into the warehouse. And then by March 2019, we're actually able to pump out 20,000 orders, which was a huge milestone for us. But then we had to go back to our software because our initial platform, which was a Ruby on Rails platform with a pretty basic front end, which was in React, we had to reapply a lot of the functionality that was required. So we ran through that. That then obviously created more proof of evidence, which then got us to our first 50,000 orders. And by that stage, we're like, fuck, there's a lot going on. Our management system with goals as a focus isn't really working anymore. And that's when we implemented OKRs. That then helped us get us to build our 3 teams across different areas, which is development, operations, and administration. From there, it then helped us double our order volume in a year. We then had to move again into something that was a little bit larger at 1,400. And then we were able to pull out 1.7 last financial. And that included our 10th event in that same year. And then again, doubling up to 200,000 orders. And then we finally could talk to a bank that would give us money after all that. Fuckers. So that's pretty much what the journey looks like. COVID kicked in for everybody right about here. And then that happened in that time frame. And we were not sure how to deal with that. It looks really nice, and investors love this, but the truth is, even though we did 1.4 in that 6-month period, that's what it really looks like. So we didn't have any money when we started, so we had to find a way to bring people in. So we use a dynamic equity split model to start that off, which is another conversation as what Scott had shared in that previous talk. We did basic goals, SMART, specific, measurable, blah, blah, blah. And then we needed to be able to solidify our equity split, and we set up vesting agreements in 2019, December. And when those agreements were established, which I won't go into today, we started to have to work on improving the goal structure into an OKR structure. And so we've been doing it for 2 years, just over 2 years now, and the results are pretty solid. Okay, so OKR history, let's go with. This guy, Andy Grove, he's pretty much the father of the bloody thing. He started working in Intel and became the CEO of Intel. In Intel, back in the 70s and 80s, Intel was Google. It was the place to work. It was the place that had the best culture. It was the thing. And everyone wanted to be with Intel. He actually took OKRs away from MBOs, which was management by objective structure. And through that, he actually was able to do some really significant changes inside Intel's company. Fast forwarding after that, John Doerr comes to work with Andy Grove, and John Doerr becomes a huge advocate. You would have seen him in his TED Talk. He's done 2 now on stage. And his claim to fame is that he was able to pretty much write the book on the topic, which kind of talked about already. And if you could do anything, I'd probably take a photo of that one and then read that thing. Don't be dumb, read it. It's really, really good. 3, 2, 1, okay. So after that, John Doerr becomes really successful in Intel, makes a fuckload of money, and then he starts investing into companies. He looks at Google, comes out of Yahoo. Yahoo says goodbye to the situation because they're too diversified. Don't think they need another search engine. So John is really impressed by Larry and Sergey's optimism on what they can do in fixing the search algorithm. John Doerr was armed with OKRs and understood how to make a really good management plan. Larry and Sergey didn't. They knew how to write code. So they were able to bring in, when John came along, and take the company to now what is now the best place to work with over 140,000 people working there today. All right, so the point of an OKR is pretty much a little bit more than a goal. You set an objective. Right? The objective has to be something measurable and something you can achieve within a time frame. That time frame can be a month if you're a startup, or if you're got a couple of years behind you, can be a quarter. Most objectives are set by a quarterly basis. You'd have your annual team meeting where you'll get together and say, all right, guys, what are we going to bust out? What's our strengths? What are our weaknesses? Blah, 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 blah. All right, in 12 months, we want to make $1 million. In 12 months, we want 100,000 users, whatever the fuck you want. And then you say, okay, great. Now we're going to have to break it into each quarter of what those objectives are going to be. Then after you've set your objective, you then need to apply some key result targets to that objective to make it real, to make it possible. And those objectives have to have a focus that are just on the objective itself. No more than 3 is recommended. If you start making 5, it gets too diluted of focus. And then you actually usually don't pull off, which is what we found out in the first year. So to give an example, let's say in quarter 1, we want to do $200,000 in revenue from the website, from online sales. So what are the things that we could achieve to make sure that 200,000 is done in that quarter? So a result would be having the growth of visits to the website up to 110,000 people to come for each month. So you got 3 months trying to make 10,000 new visitors to come to the website. You have then another approach, which is to work on landing pages. You make 3 landing pages because each landing page is going to be able to focus on a certain product from the website, which will then hopefully increase the opportunity of achieving the objective. And then the third one is, well, maybe the target prices of what our basket sales are isn't high enough, so we're going to lift it by 12% to be able to achieve the 200,000 that we're trying to hit for the quarter 1. And then you focus on these key results to make sure that objective can be a reality. And then you go 3 months, you burn and focus on just those things, forget everything else, which it becomes a distraction, and off you go. So, who's got a business that all right, actually, this might be easy. Just put your hand up and keep your hand up as I go through, please. Come on. Just stretch your arms, fellas and girls. All right, keep your hand up if your company has more than 10 people. Oh shit, I did that the wrong way. Sorry, put it back up again. Let me try that again. All right, if it's got 1 person in the team, not yourself, 1 person. 2 people. 3, 4, 5, 6. And you guys are the 10. Okay, cool. So the average room is about 5 people per team, 5 people per business, right? So if you've got 5 people per business, you're at the stage where you can achieve you've got goals that you're focusing on, and you just want those 5 people, or let's just use this example, 5 people wanting to get that done. So who wants to be a brave soul and have your business on the whiteboard? Here's a chance to do OKRs, man, let's go. Who wants to be? I want someone to reference themselves to be able to get working on their goals. Who wants to have a trial? Done. Thank you. Wise, brave soul. Love it. What's your business?
So I work for a tech startup.
Okay.
So we're just in beta with a platform.
You're in beta with a platform. What is the platform going to do?
It is a collaboration communication platform, so like Slack but external.
You're going to be like Slack, but for the external. All right. What's the goals that you guys are working on this period, like this quarter?
Yeah, so we are working on growth marketing.
Growth marketing. So you're trying to do marketing. Okay. Let's do a marketing objective. It's kind of in the same space. So what's the objective? How many people are you trying to attract? What's your target?
Yeah, 20,000 in the first year.
First year is 20,000 people. All right, so if you got 20,000 people in the first year, what are you going to divide that by 4? And you're going to try and aim for 5,000 in the first quarter? Is that fair?
Yeah.
Is that a bit higher to high? All right, so what, 2?
Yeah.
So what's that, 2,500 people? Would that be a little closer? All right, cool. Let's go 200,000.
Yeah.
Oh, it's scary. All right, you want to do that again? Go
No,
1, 2.
Scary's good.
Scary's good?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to stick with 2. Okay. So your objective is you grow users, Q1, grow users, 2,500, okay? What is now, now those 2,500 users, is there arrangements after you've got them, are they going to be free or paid?
Yeah, there's a combination of there's a free plan and then no plan.
Do you want them to be free or paid?
Well, I think initially we're looking at free.
Free, okay. On the free subscription. So the idea is to be very focused on what you want, right? I mean, goals, I fucking hate it when someone says, you know, guys, we're going to go to 20,000 people, make $600,000, and it was something really big. And then the year goes by and you're like, oh, I got this new business now that I'm going to be working on, and blah, 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 which really is really sad. So if we're going to focus on this objective here for the Q1, the key result on this bad boy is what is it that you know you could work to make that through? Just go with 3. Okay, do you have a buyer persona?
Yeah.
You do. All right, is the buyer persona all nice and clear and ready to go?
4.
You got 4, okay. Which of those 4 buyer personas are you going to focus on to get this?
We've got 2 that we're heavily focused on.
All right, you got 2. So focus on buyer persona with 150. I need a. Where's that blue rag you got? Oh, it's over there. 1,250 of them through. Look, just for time's sake, let's just say one buyer persona is going to be really, really great and easy to find on LinkedIn, and the other buyer persona is going to be really, really great and easy to find on Facebook, just for shits and giggles. Okay. So let's say that you're going to focus on a buyer persona number 1. That's going to be 1,250 people through the platform. LinkedIn.
So I suppose
On campaign.
if you're not entirely sure where it's
Plan.
going to work best, you're better to put it down and then adjust it as you go, or what's the...
Well, think about it this way. If you have a key result that's focused on this, you're running on the understanding that your experiment, if you want to say, right, is that you believe that you're going to achieve this result for the end of the year, and that the 2,500 that you're going to set for the first quarter, you're going to then break it down into your buyer personas. Through your buyer persona, you've got 4. You're going to take one of them and you're going to try and split it as a focus of just 2. Because you've only got so much capacity when you're a startup. You don't have the fucking world at your feet. You don't have all the money, nor do you have anyone that will follow you most of the time. So you've got to just focus on the capacity that's available to you and just laser in and get it done. That then builds credibility on what you're doing, and then other people will join you because you've got traction, which everyone wants, traction. So then you focus on one and you get that through. Then you got your other one, focus on your buyer persona number 2 with Facebook campaign.
So we
to
agree that more Facebook and LinkedIn might not actually be the right channels to get the users. Is that
No,
what
I
you-
think we
it's a campaign to achieve
Or maybe it seemed like you didn't want to put down as the key result.
1,000.
No, I think it's more like if you're putting an exact figure down and you haven't got any history to
Oh, yeah.
figure, then you are just plucking it kind of out of the air.
So if you put 20,000, you would have done a bit of research around that as well.
That's what I was about to say, yeah. Did you pull that out of your butt, or you actually had some data behind that one?
Well, to some extent.
It's okay, I do it all the time.
Yeah, it's like that's a aspirational figure that you go for.
All right, cool. Super aspirational, probably unrealistic, but super aspirational. So let's just go with just 2 key results. We could put a third, but just for time, we'll just say it's like that. Now that would be a standard OKR for your marketing space. Then you might, now what we usually do is, oh yeah, boy. I'm gonna just leave that there and I might break that away. Okay, so just to break down a little bit more of history of OKRs and goal focusing. Now, when people make goals, they make a sometimes really aspirational, achievable, prestigious goals, because all they want is the gleam and fame that's gonna be really awesome. But it's a two-edged sword, and the history of that two-edged sword is talking around pairing key results. Does anyone like cars? Anyone know what this thing is? It's 1970s, a bit before all of us. This is the Ford Pintos. Now, our brothers, the Ford boys, set up the Ford Pintos. They were getting absolutely smashed by Honda, Toyota, and in the small compact space because they just weren't in that market. And so they set a goal. They said they want to have a car that's under 2,000 pounds, under $2,000, because they wanted to get back into it. Their focus on their results was something that was true subcompact, really focused on that weight and size. They wanted to get something that was low cost, something that was affordable with good serviceability when you take it into the shop, as well as fuel consumption. They wanted the product to have superiority, comfort, appreciation for the traction and handling. And that was their goal. And that was run with an iron fist. Notice there isn't anything about safety. They go into construction, push this thing out, big success in the initial market phase because they're good at campaigning. Then, because they were so focused on making sure that was their goal, they had the prestige for the first 2 years until people started dying. And they wanted to know why. Their engineers, when they were doing their crash test, realized that a little piece of plastic that was between the bumper and the actual gas tank itself in the back was saving the explosion combustion. But they said it was too heavy and too much expenditure, so they chose to throw it away. In that, they realized that the branding took an absolute beating, along with their bottom line, and they had to recall 1.5 million of these Pintos. The point of this is that saying, just because you set up a goal that's really aspirational, you must remember that it has to be paired with quality, not just the quantity of itself. And that's where we all know that we've had companies that have tried to reach really fast, but write shit code along the way, try to get all the way to the exit, but actually have a massive burnout. So it really does matter to have the quantity with the quality mixed with the goals. And that's what OKRs are pretty good at. So for an example of what that looks like when they put an OKR together, the key results can usually say, all right, we want to have 3 new features placed onto the application, but we want to have, during the testing phase, less than 5 bugs per feature, which obviously means you're going to have a slower delay of release, but you're going to have cleaner code. Sales side, you want to have someone who's not just literally just calling people all day long. You want to make sure that their results are based on actually locking in the new businesses or the new orders. They're not just calling Dick and Jane, they're actually getting hold of the bigger guys in town. So the point is that pairing key results inside of your objectives is something that is in the book and I thought was really good. The next point is cascading. And this is probably where the magic happens, and you guys have probably seen it, which is effectively let's just run with this example. I've just taken up the whole whiteboard to do it, so I'm going to try and shrink it down a bit. The concept kind of goes like this. Let's say this isn't a marketing objective. Let's say it's a company objective, okay? And your team, you got 2 teams in the company. Usually happens a lot, okay? Company usually has a couple of goals. One will be like, all right, let's say 200,000 users, and we want to have a turnover for the company that's going to do, we're going to do 50 grand. Let's say you want to make $50,000 in the first year, okay, first financial year. All right, nothing crazy, something realistic, 50K. All right, got a whole bunch of free people, so you're starting to get traction of users, and you're starting to make some money. So what we would do here is say, this is a company goal, and this goal impacts to the user growth. Very, very important. But let's say you have this focus to be able to have a campaign plan. That campaign plan, I just need like an extension here. But effectively, what would happen in the cascade approaches where John Doerr really talks about is you would turn this is a company objective, but you would make this a team. This is a company objective with a company key result, but you would turn this into a team objective and then have team results set to the side. Now, I don't have any space to write this, but this is kind of how it would work. Thanks, bro. We're getting there. So effectively, we would now turn this into the objective for the team. And let's just say you go out, you get 2 interns, and you say to those interns, look, guys, we need to make a campaign. This is Jill. And Jill, no, hang on, LinkedIn. You said you're doing a platform for like a Slack alternative, networking. Natalie the networker, okay, is your buyer persona go. Natalie the networker is blah, blah, blah. She's 27, she makes lots of money, she has these requirements. And Natalie the networker is always on LinkedIn. So you would then set up the key results for your interns to be able to say, all right, key result number 1 is I want you guys to, thanks, bro. Here's one I prepared earlier. So now we're going to go to the team level, which is the next one down. It is a company. It's a company objective to be able to get 200,000. The key result is now an objective, and the objective was, what was it? Focus on buyer persona 1. To a LinkedIn campaign on 1,250 users. So therefore, if that's their objective for the team, for those 2 interns, because that's the other team, because you won't be able to do it, right? You're going to be doing other things. So you're going to now set this up for them and let them handle their business. Then key result 1, 2, and 3. Now, Brad, this is your space, my man. Oh, come on, bro. Help me out. All right. So if they're saying they're going to set up a campaign, I'm not a marketing pro, but I'll do the best I can here. I would just say in reference to this is that they have a budget of, it's early, you got 50K on the bank, you got all these other expenses. Let's just say it's 2 grand, okay? 2 grand over 3 months. Maybe you can pull it off, maybe it's not, I don't know. So it's a budget of $2,000 to spend on 3 campaigns. Because in the beginning, finance is a super focus point, and that way you know you've got to keep them to a quality result, not focus on a quantity. Second one will be then achieve a reach. What's the ratio? Every person you get to the closing at the bottom of the funnel, you need to have 10 people, right? Something like that. All right. 4%. So let's just say it's an even 5. 5% on that times 2 is going to be, let me just do math real quick. So 1, 2, 5 times 10 is going to make it 12. And then you need times 2, you're going to have, is that 2,500 visitors? Yeah, okay. Reach 25,000 people, views on the LinkedIn campaigns. So that way they know they got 3 campaigns they got to reach out to. They got to achieve 25,000 views to be able to hit hopefully a 5% conversion rate to make sure that this comes through. Then they've got maybe, I don't know, and then you can make whatever the hell you want in the last one, to be honest. Do you see how that all connects? See how it's all starting to match up and you start getting a little bit more focused on your objectives or your goals? That's effectively what cascading is. You're taking a part of what is probably the best part of OKRs and you're giving the opportunity to let your team know exactly what you're thinking and for them to do to make sure that their work matters, which everybody in every company knows is a big, big deal. Because if they know that they're reaching these people across these companies, it's not for a purpose, it's actually for a greater purpose, that greater purpose is connected to another purpose, then they can see all the way up to the top of the line what the boss is thinking because the boss has told them everything that they're trying to get done and for what reason. The best part is your interns could probably come up with another result and start taking ownership of this themselves and start saying, all right, what if we review the buyer persona and do something else? That happens a lot. Yeah. So what we do every year now is we'll get together and we'll get a big ass whiteboard. We'll sit together with drinks and beers and fun stuff. And we'll just write up a big ass SWOT. What are we weak at? What are we strong at? What are the objectives? What are the threats? And we'll write all those down, all of it. Because then we'll say, okay, that's what we're trying to see for 2021. And then once we know it's 2021, then we're going to see what we're going to do for 2022. We'd look at the financial history as well. We look at our P&L. And then we would do the forecast on what our P&L was. And over that forecast, we would say, all right, what's the average growth rate? If the growth rate average is 100%, then how can we do that again? What are we going to need to do to make it happen again? And it gets harder every year to do it again. But if you can try to keep it to that level, you need to be able to focus on just what's going to get that done while still keeping a moral compass in your business. And it's a conversation with everybody.
How does that
this
align
is
with the people who are on an hourly rate, looking at the P&L going, wow, I'm getting paid 40 grand a year. Why is top line revenue and profit to your pocket?
Good point. Now, we run another business model inside of ours, which is called an open book policy. You guys would have seen it in the restaurant, the hospitality industry, to try and win people online your way. We let everybody know in our company how much everyone else gets paid. So the bitching and the corruption and the I want a big hike stops. Because it's so obvious when someone, like a dev, wants to come in, sorry devs, and they say, look brother, give me 150K, all right? Otherwise I'm not doing shit for you. I'm like, bro, I don't have that money. Look man, just find it, okay? I'll see you later. And then you're begging and pleading for this guy, but then when you bring him into a team meeting of 6 or 7 people, and then you say, all right guys, this is how much we spend on salaries, this is how much we're going for, and they see him, they expect the best. So to have true cohesive collaboration, if everyone's on the same playing field, within reasonable salary bases, knowing the bottom to the top, then they all can start communicating with each other, knowing what everyone's going to be putting on the table, knowing what their goals are going to be for the year, and why they're valued at that price, which is a really big point. Because there's nothing worse than someone who's getting paid a lot of money, thinking in your head, oh, that guy does nothing but sit on a computer all day. What the fuck, am I getting paid this and that guy's paid that and meh, 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 meh. And then before you know it, your corruption kicks in your culture and it's really painful to deal with. But if you're having open transparency, everyone knows where they're financially at, everyone knows what the company's financially affordable to do, and then you say, look, this is what we want to try and get done, These are our agreements that we've all agreed to join this business with, and this is what we're going to try to achieve. It all kind of connects together, but it can only be done from the top, which is technically everyone here at the startup stage. But the problem is it gets harder as you get along. So you know, this is only as good as it's implemented with other components of management structures. You could have an open book policy. You don't have to. We do. Most owners of a company will be happy to pay when they can afford to. Some guys in here might already be like right at the beginning. And when you're right at the beginning, you don't have salaries to pay anyone. So you can look at vesting agreements, you can look at dynamic equity splits to compensate for the lack of funding that's in the business. Then once you got your teams in, then it's focusing on, all right, if they're part of the equity page in any way, then they're going to want to know what the company can do. How much has it made? I'm invested in this business. You got to show me the numbers. If you hold that back, you create resentment, you get confusion. It just gets painful. But if it's all there, then it becomes the next conversation. All right, cool. Looking at what's there, this is what we're good at. This is what we're not good at. This is what the opportunity is. This is what the threats are. All right, cool. Then we're like, okay, let's take these and make goals. All right, now we made the goals. And now this is going to be what we're going to do to achieve the goals. And that's what the OKR part does.
What platform do you put all this on?
Perfect. Next part. And this is where I'll probably end it up. Oh yeah, I had that slide in there too. So I'll just bring this up real quick and then I'll bring it back to Scott. And this is what we use, okay? Let me introduce you really quick to Weekdone. A bunch of boys in Ukraine got it together, saw the book, loved the concept of OKRs, made a software program. We pay, I don't know, $200 a month or something for it. Effectively, I'll show you our quarterly objectives that we've done. All right, so in the top left, you got two different things in here. You got a quarterly objective provider, and you got a to-do list, which is a weekly planner. The weekly planner is where you connect as a team and catch up every week to see how your key results are going. And the company objective is showing what is the company's focus on and all the key results to it. Now, for our business, if I show you, what am I showing you here? Nothing. Company. All right, so the company here has these objectives. These are ours. We want to be able to do 2.7 million this year. We want to be able to process 162,000 orders before June 2022. Our sales team to bring in 50 active users across our business model. We want to set up a second location in Melbourne, so making that happen, that's a fucking hard one. Have the marketing team to be able to achieve a company over just 200 leads. Okay, that's not views, just leads. Then to reshape our count to be able to achieve 50 cents on a net profit per order. So we're on a tight margin structure. And then to release the new warehouse software system. Now all of these this is a lot. This is a huge wish list, but we got a little bit more capacity in our ability. Usually when you kick this off, if you have a wish list of 4, that's good. 1 in ops, 1 in sales, 1 in some type of administration goal, and maybe 1 in marketing. So that way you're able to then know you're going to see good progression in what you're trying to do. In this one here, you can see they're all yearly, and then you got a percentage ratio of how we're tracking against that objective. All right? Okay. Now,
You've been using this one, Jesse?
2 years. Now, these are the teams that we've got, all right? We've got a development team, sales team, operations team, marketing team, no. When you are running this, you're wearing the hat of all the teams, right? So you're the marketing guy, you're the sales guy, you're the ops guy, you're doing a lot. You're spread like butter across too much bread, Lord of the Rings. But at least you know, if you bring someone into your company, you know where they can fit nicely and what role they need to focus on. So that way, you don't bring someone who's like, yo, bro, I'm in. What am I doing? I don't know. Start there. Okay. And then they start there and like, wee, we're going this way. And then you're like, bro, come back. So this helps a lot in direction and focus. Let's just work on top 1. So for the company result, we want to make sure we can achieve these kind of quarterly arrangements to be able to make sure that works in. Super easy, number-based arrangements, nothing too hard. But then you see there's a team that's connected to this result to make sure it's focused on. Now the accounting team is the one who's being able to focus on this. They're the ones who are going to do the account invoicing, the receivables, and make sure that that money's been tracked accordingly. So they come through, they do their part. And what they're doing here is they're just tracking on what comes in. You don't see anything around sales, you don't see anything around that arrangement because this is a result-orientated goal structure. There's not really much they can do. But when you go to the ones below that, say process the orders, this one's probably a little bit more cheap, a bit of a cleaner OKR. So the company wants to do 160,000 orders across the financial year. That's a big task, okay? That means that we have to figure out how we're going to do better traffic management inside the warehouse. All this stuff's going to come into a warehouse space, in my space. And then I got to find a way to put it nicely and efficiently. And then we're going to make it really quick to grab it and then process it and get it out the door. And when you start scaling, and if you ever worked in, who's worked in logistics here? Am I on my own? You have? All right. When you have a place that's a localized solution, it's really hard to scale. When you have like your ID tags saying just where, let me repeat that. When you create a solution that's not made for scale, all the information of that solution is in one person's head. Might be a business partner's head, might be someone else's head. And the challenge is when you want to try and build that out, you got to take it out of the person's head and make it into a system, right? And then if it's making it a system, everyone else has to figure it out and it slows down. But at least putting in parts of what in that person's head is and making that achievable for them makes it possible to make, you know, what you're aiming for. I feel like I'm going on a bit here. Is this helping?
How do you measure the percentages here? Is that just manual?
In this thing here on the right, I think these are, let's go something like produce a container placement. So this key result here, oh yeah, I said 3. Obviously I broke my own rule. I made 7. So I'm a dick, so sorry about that. It's a weight ratio, I believe. No, sorry. This thing's pretty customizable. You can do a lot.
Oh, then you've got sub ones.
Yeah, so this is the cascade arrangement. So management, which was my team, had to then focus on, all right, we got to make sure a container placement. What that means is that when a 20-foot or a 40-foot container would come to the warehouse, we had to talk to the trucking company where they're going to put the container down. On the warehouse, we have like a side road, and then we got like a alleyway, and there's 2 placement slots. The problem with us is we'd get a call, and we didn't know which one was open or which one was blocked, or who parked, or whatever. So we had to set up a system to be able to say, all right, when a container comes in, and we got to cycle them around, we just have to tell them this document, instead of trying to do a 20-minute conversation every time. So we made a document on how to make a roster on a Google Calendar, connected to Calendly, gave them a PDF that linked to that Calendly link. So then we'd give them the PDF, show them the details. They click on the link of which one it goes through. They open up the Calendly, which tells them what options are available at the time they want to drop it off. That then goes into the Google Calendar. Same stuff you guys would use in your own strategy. But the point is, it was something we need to get done. And now, when you set up goals at the beginning of the year, you're like, all right, we got to get this done, this done, this done, this. And then 6 months later, you forget about it. And oh, shit, those 2 containers are next to each other. No, what are we going to do? The big drop. We should make a solution for this. And so it just works through that.
The initiatives, are they like the to-do list, or that doesn't come into this at all? Like how are you going to go about it?
Are the initiatives the to-do list? You're talking about, yes.
So you've got key results and it goes down. Is the initiatives the how are you going to do it?
So if I was to quickly give you a concept of what this looks like, it looks like this, right? I need a whiteboard eraser. This thing ain't helping. Okay, so you've got your core company objective, okay? And then you got key results 1, 2, and 3. This is part of the operation saying we want to make all this money, all these orders. One of these key results become a team objective, which is what you're seeing here. The team objective becomes its key results underneath it here. Okay? That's the cascading effect. And then whoever is responsible, now the company has made, everybody in the company, because everyone's contributing together, has made what they found for that year to be the focus points. They wrote all these key results. Now, they've given it to a team to be responsible and accountable to it to make sure it gets done in the quarter that's chosen. This was quarter, I don't remember what quarter that was, quarter 2 or 3, to get that done. Then, we meet up every week to do a weekly check-in, on a Tuesday morning usually for our side, where we'll sit together as a group and we'll go through all of our tasks that we want to do. So we don't have to-do lists, we just use this. And we sit around and we see how we're progressing against the key results we're accountable for. And usually that's all the team leaders in all the teams. So not everyone in the company is at this discussion, it's just like who's responsible for it. It removes the need for micromanagement, it removes the need of insecurities for leaders who want to make sure people are doing the right job, gives a chance for people to grow, and it gives a chance for people to share their thoughts on what their objectives are going if shit goes sideways, quickly. And that's OKRs in a nutshell.
Can we use a referral code Jesse20 at checkout to get a discount on Weekdone?
Hell no, bro. I ain't got this. I got nothing.